Well, welcome to a new Harry's Garage video, and yes, I am back at Silverstone Auctions NEC, the big sale, and thumping great catalogue arrived. 171 cars in this auction. That is the biggest Silverstone auction ever, so about 10 cars more than normal. And there is also another hall over there with about 150 bikes in it. Tom May, who is behind the camera and does all the editing incredibly quickly on this video, is quaking because I just don't know where to stop with the number of cars we've got to feature today. So I'm going to rush around rather than just pick 10 favourites out. I think the joy of this sale is just a variety and see what's here. And I'm going to kick off with a couple of fast forwards, take you back to the 80s, just where we're standing here. Now, I've featured Sierra Cosworth before. This is a 1986 one, but what I can't get over, God knows how this has happened, but this is an 8,795 mile example of a Sierra Cosworth. And because it's not the 500, it's not as crazy price as you might imagine. Obviously, to me, it just looks showroom fresh. Whether it is or not, I don't know. Check it out. All the details are on the website. And it's guided at 90 to 110,000 pounds. I should say, today is Thursday. Viewing starts tomorrow, and a bit of luck, Friday, we'll have this video out tomorrow morning. And then the sale is actually on Saturday. All the cars are getting hammered on Saturday, and then Sunday is the bikes. So yeah, anyway, loads to go. I'll round up. I check the website what you want to do. Now, another fast forward, RS200. Now, this is 1988. This was the era, which same engine as that Cosworth we just looked at, but this is one of the 90 road-going cars. And it's funny, this car, because it hasn't, you think it's like a Ferrari F40. You lift the clamshell up on this and it is spectacular. Now, this one is guided at 225 to 275,000, and it just strikes me for a homologation special car of a particular era of the 80s. It's a very exciting road car and absolutely looks the part. Now I'm going to move next door, because here is the little Alfa Romeo 4C Coupe. And what gets me about this, that RS200 is tweaked to 300 horsepower. This one is 280 horsepower, mid-engine, four-cylinder, etc. And I can remember being at Evo when this was first launched and talking to Alfa Romeo. I was really excited about it because it's this carbon tubbed car. How could they do this carbon tubbed car made at the Maserati factory, and it was going to be £50,000? And yet it didn't quite work out like that. When we drove it, it had a sort of handling issue. It just wasn't as sorted as perhaps it should have been. This one is fully sorted. It's had all sorts of suspension tweaks. There are a number of specialists out there, and this one has had all the work going through it, including a sort of power steering upgrade as well. And it's only done 8,500 miles, and it's guided at 50 to 60,000 pounds. Huge amount of fun to be had with that. I'd love to drive a sorted one. I've never driven a sorted one. I only have memories of the other one, but it is a carbon tubbed, mid-engined Alfa Romeo. God, I don't know where to go next. I mean, poor Tom. A semi-lightweight E-Type, as they term this one, and it has great history, racing history. Ex-Stirling Moss and Win Percy, no less. So, I don't know, it's a 1965 E-Type, race prepared, lovely patina inside, not stripped out, and guided at 120 to 160,000 pounds. Now, Porsche turbos, I know a bit about these things, and yeah, this one, 964. I just think these are coming up on the rails. The 964 was a very pretty 911 to me. It was a different era, the upright lights, and I loved the split rim wheels you got on the turbo version. It was criticised in period for not really the engine moving on. It was the same 3.3 that you got in the original 930 turbo, which we'll get to in a moment, but lots of other things were sorted. It had better suspension on it, and it's rarer as a result. When this was new, which is 1993, they weren't selling very many cars at all, so they're always rarer, and now they're starting to climb. This is estimated at 120 to 150,000 pounds, unusual in sort of Grand Prix white, but I don't know, I really like them. Now the famous turbo is the 930, and this one has a terrific history because it was owned by Peter Grant's Led Zeppelin manager. And I've got a bit of a tale on sort of pop stars and black Porsche turbos. It was almost every sort of rock star you can name had a black Porsche turbo. It's what they did. And I, in the previous life, was a grain buyer, and I went on Jethro Tull's farm, and the first time I met him and the band were playing badminton and using a black Porsche turbo as the net. This is what you did if you were a rock star in the 80s. And this one had a fantastic registration. Bad one was its registration. Unfortunately, it's not still on the car. Red interior, 11,000 miles from new, unrestored, and 120,000 pounds. There's a super tidy, another 930 here. There's work going on underneath. Yes, 40,000 miles at 100, 120 as well. So black and white. These are sort of overflow bikes. I'm not quite sure where they're here. It's quite famous. It's a Honda monkey bike, and they did this gold edition. It's quite bonkers. They're quite early, some of these bikes, but anyway, I love the way, the ideal Christmas present. Yeah, it's one of the things with the monkey bikes. You never quite know what to do with them, but they're so cool, you just can't help but buy the one. You sort of have it next to your rally chopper. But anyway, lots of cool cars here. Well, particularly cool one here. Yeah, earlier Elise, I featured those before. This one I'd never seen before. 1966 Triumph GTR 4 Dove, a coupe version of a TR4. Never seen one before, but a hatchback. I mean, it's a bit like you got those Aston Martins that were converted to a, tailgate open estate sort of car. Same with this one. Unique, it says, certainly unique. So there you go. That's why I've never seen one before, and guided at 40 to 45,000 pounds. But this car is properly special. TVR. Now, none of you would probably guess that was a TVR, but in 1965, an Italian styling house took a Griff 200 and turned it into this for the Turin Motor Show. This very striking body. You think this is 1965, and underneath there is a Ford V8 engine, Polycarb sitting on top. So it's a stretch chassis, so a tubular chassis underneath. I first saw this on the Cartier lawn at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, and I just couldn't believe this was in TVR's early history. And here it is, entered in the sale, the one-off chance to buy the right-hand drive version, the only one in the world, and it's 13,000 miles from new, guided at 80 to 100,000 pounds. But it's one of those cars you just know you'll be invited to every event because there's nothing like it, and it looks really good to my eyes. As does this Jaguar Coupe. Now I know a little bit about this Jaguar Coupe because it's my car, and I've entered in here. I had two Jaguar Coupes I bought 2014. I was going to restore one, and I couldn't decide between the two, but I went for the manual one rather than this one of a new automatic gearbox. This is for restoration, but it is complete. I put it in as no reserve, and you can see it's a bit flaky here and there, so the bodywork does need work, but they are rare cars, Jag Coupes. That's why I've sort of hung on to it, but I'm not going to restore it. I did think I was going to do another manual, but I've got so many other projects on at the moment, so it's up for grabs, as is this Porsche. Now, this is quite interesting because most people, if they modify a Porsche, I think there's way too many 2.7 RSs in this world, recreations. This one is actually the 993 Carrera 2 RS. And I think that's a better model to do. It's more usable. It almost needs a little bit of finishing off, but a nice idea, guided at 50 to 55,000 pounds. And then you've got two Porsche 2.4 S's here, and one in Targa form, one in coupe form. 2.4S, it's sort of the understudy to 2.7 RS, but nice to drive, and this one has actually got the 2.7 RS engine spec. So this would be a little bit more, I would have thought, 100 to 120,000 pounds for that Targa, and this one, 120 to 140,000 for this 2.4S. Yeah, everything in Porsche land seems to be expensive these days, but not so in Lotus land. And I have desperate to feature this. This is a Esprit S2. Now, people sort of worship the S1 for the purity, and it had the wolf race wheels on it. The S2, I just think, is a really good looking car, and they sorted a lot of the bugs out that was on the S1. This one is normally aspirated, so it's not turbo, so you get the glass screen at the back, and not such a crazy, impossible to source upholstery in the cockpit there, and well priced. This is 1979, the edgy Giario styling absolutely looks the part, and guided at 32 to 40,000 pounds. I think it's spectacular value for money, absolutely looks the part, and having lived with my Esprit, they are magic the way they go down the road. This is pretty special as well. I couldn't believe I recently drove a Maserati Murat SS, had that bronze one in, and it changed my mind on this car. Really nice V6. Howls. This was during the Citroën takeover. This is how you spot an SS, unlike Mr. Clarkson, he didn't spot that you actually have to have a vent there. And it has powered brakes and power steering and things, so it's sort of an easy car to live with. And it has 2 rear seats in it. Very pretty, very striking. Guided at 45 to 50,000 pounds, 49,000 miles. Yeah, they are still not really catching fire on value, but look at the design. Same with this Mondial 8, Alfa Romeo Mondial 1973. This one has had a thorough sort after buying it and went back to its original colour, which is a bronze metallic. A metallic orange doesn't actually give me the name of what the colour is. A very striking car. The V8, it was something that was a one-off for Alfa Romeo. They sort of thought, oh, is this a direction to go in? And they ended up just doing the one model and went back to, you know, lower price models back in the day. But looks good, 73, fresh from recent restoration, 65 to 75,000 pounds. One of my favourite Ferraris, and I'm so glad these are getting recognised. This is the Ferrari 308 GT4 Dino. I used to race against one of these when I raced my Elan, and it was a very neat handling. Everybody goes for the 308, but a regular 308, but a GTB, but the 308 GT4 stretched the wheelbase a little bit, and I think they are a better handling as a result. The trouble is trying to find a good one, because they love to rust, and they can look smart on the outside and then not be so smart if you start looking under panels and things. This one is only 12,000 miles from new, so I haven't checked over it, but at 12,000 miles, you'd expect it should be all together. Right-hand drive and guided at 50 to 60,000 pounds. Got a metal sunroof as well, I've never seen one of those. There's a number of Ferraris here today. I can't feature them all, it's quite a smart Ferrari 550 there. But what I want to feature is this 599 GTB, because this has the HGTE handling pack on it. And I think these are looking serious value really when you look around here and what you can buy today. Now, the handling pack gave you these split rim wheels, that's how you sort of recognise it. Also gave you some really good suspension mods worth having, it's just as models progress. This one has this Bordeaux sort of interior, looks good. Went to Singapore to begin with, right-hand drive, came to the UK 2016. Not that many miles, 14,000 miles from new, this one. Looks good and is guided at 80 to 100,000 pounds. There's actually another 599 over there. If I get time, I'll feature that, and that one's a little less. That's sort of red with a black roof. Another car. Where do these cars come from? So 348 TS, this means it has the Targa top there. Lot of period they were unloved, but I always look at Spiders and later ones because they did make some mods to suspension and made them less sort of unpredictable handling. But longitudinal V8, I remember doing a test of all V8 Ferraris and we were very surprised by the 348. Don't believe everything you read. Lots were modified in period and are much better today. But this one has only done 1,895 miles, a 91 car, and guided because of that at 85 to 100,000 pounds. I couldn't believe this TR5 here, how high the guide was. And then I saw the mileage is 7,500 miles, and that's why it's guided at 70 to 80,000 pounds. Basically, the TR5 is the TR4 with the TR6 straight 6 engine in it. A very rare car, basically as new condition. There's a lot of Astons here, and there's a Jensen Interceptor there I'd love to feature. I can't do them all, but I might well feature this one. This is a Carrera RS N spec. So someone is in a bit like that RS Carrera 993. This is a similar sort of thing with a 964. So gone beyond Carrera RS spec and to N spec, which was basically the race spec. So even more power from the engine. I can't tell you how much. Full roll cage in the back and guided fairly sensibly for all the work that has been involved to make this. 70 to 80,000 pounds, about half the price of a good Carrera RS today. Come to a different corner now. Just wanted to show you that there's a Clio V6 Phase 2 in acid yellow, a very unusual colour. Only 21 of the 1,300 Clio V6s were finished in that colour, and about 8 came to the UK. Won't see another one in that colour. I haven't looked. They are getting expensive though. I think it's in the 70s, the guide on that car. Better value, I think, is this 599 GTB. I mentioned it over there. This one's sort of been made to look like the GTO version in red, 30,000 miles, 60 to 70,000 pounds for that 599. Or you could buy this at similar value, a V10 Audi Coupe. Unfortunately, this isn't the manual version. This has got the Steptronic gearbox, but mileage 419 miles from new, guided at 60 to 70,000 pounds. Or do you want a Mitsubishi Evo? This is the Evo 8 and the FQ400, the ultimate version really. Lowest mile is, no it's not, 55,000 miles, and that's reflecting the guide, 45 to 55,000 pounds. It's sort of the top one that had the carbon splitter on the front. It also has a little funny roof spoiler to get the airflow to hit the rear spoiler correctly. Very geeky. This is quite unusual because it's a UK spec STI, now 2003, and it is only 4,900 miles, 28 to 32,000 pounds. I never thought in the day that the Mitsubishi would actually be more money than the Subaru Impreza, especially in classic STI colours of this, you know, with the blue, the racing blue, and the gold wheels, Pro Drive wheels. Gosh, there's a number of cars. Another FQ380. I'm not going to go into details of this. And then the peculiar Impreza Cosworth, where they changed the design and it all sort of killed off the Impreza craze because they just looked a bit awkward. Still performed beautifully, this car. This is quite a rare one with a Cosworth spec. CS400. 12,000 miles, 45 to 55,000 pounds to be able to go very quickly. There's a lovely NSX, I'm going to come back to that. I just want you to swing round, Tom, because this car, now I couldn't believe this one because I've seen these before. So this is a Mitsubishi Evo, so this is a Shogun basically, and they were infamous at Paris-Dakar, these cars. And this is like a homologation special. Everybody thinks of the Evo, Mitsubishi Evo, as those cars I've just looked at, but this is the one that I think is the one that's been forgotten, because these were homologation specials so you could enter Paris-Dakar, and this is one of only 200 produced in manual form, and they were all for the competition really, but this one stayed as a civilian car. It's come in from Japan. It is 141,000 miles from new. So it's being well used, but it doesn't look it, and guided at 35 to 45,000 pounds. What a thing to rock around the farm in. If only I knew a farmer who could buy that, he would really enjoy that one, I think. A number of Defenders here, bikini top ones, soft tops. I'm not going to go down there. I might just show you a little Suzuki Jeep, actually. It's quite fun down there. But just coming back to this NSX, a really tidy NSX, this one, and it's the earlier one with the pop-up lights in the right colour, red, black interior and manual, crucially, and 11,600 miles from new. These are coming very collectible and pretty rare in the UK in this sort of condition, and a manual, and guided at 110 to 130,000 pounds. I can remember when these were available about 20 or 30,000 pounds. Not so today. NSX has really come alive, and this is perfect for anyone who wants an ultimate version of an NSX. Yeah, I just wanted to show you this one-off Suzuki Jeep that was owned by Barry Sheene. It was actually given to him by Suzuki for winning their World Championships. He's a big hero of mine. When I was growing up, he was in all the papers, notorious womanizer, along with James Hunt. I have a set of Barry Sheene levers in my garage, and this was just, you know, promotional thing. Strangely, when he migrated out to Australia, he didn't take it with him. I would have thought it would be a perfect car for Australia. But anyway, a little bit of Barry Sheene memorabilia, and guided at 20 to 30,000 pounds. Now have a look at this. This is a BMW, I set it at 600, it's a little bubble car made by BMW in period and owned by none other than Sterling Moss again. And he bought it out of auction. He must have looked at the catalogue, put his hand up at the right time and came home with this. It needed a bit more work than he thought, and there's a great picture in the catalogue because once it was all restored, he taught his son to drive in it. He also phoned BMW. He says, "Have you got a bigger engine than the 600 I could put in this?" And they sent him a new 700cc engine. It's a flat twin of the back, like the R70 motorbike, etc. And obviously, to get in one of these, yeah, you just open the front door and the steering wheel comes with you, and you sit down, and there he is with L plates, about to teach his son how to drive. Just love the history of it. It looks really good condition to me. My parents had a bubble car, so I've got a bit of a soft spot for these. Not a BMW one though. 1957, and guided at 50 to 60,000 pounds. Love the colour on this Turbo S cab. Mark Higgins, the stunt driver for James Bond's car. I think it was ordered originally by Gordon Ramsay, but this green metallic looks really good. But after that little Assetto, I wanted to show you this Messerschmitt. Now, this is another one of these micro cars that we used to have in the 50s, early 60s, and someone at my school had one of these, and he used to rock up in it. What I didn't realise, they ever did a sort of roadster version with a hood. His had a cockpit like a sort of aircraft, and that is basically the design language of the car and who Messerschmitt were. And they also had this, rather than the steering wheel, you just had this thing that almost like handlebars off a motorbike. This one's very peculiar because it's even got a little trailer should you want to go off camping in your Messerschmitt. Quite like the way they've upholstered this one. It's got I hope fake snakeskin upholstery, and it is guided at 32 to 38,000 pounds. Go find another. This is a one-off car as well. Little Lotus Elite, and this is the motor show car. This is a very early prototype version, completely unrestored. The paint is a little flaky in places, but it does date from 1958. Chassis number 008. I wonder if anybody's got 007. And it has a number of sort of interesting features in it that didn't actually make production. And one of those is the fuel tank was actually in that right-hand wing. They moved it to the back for production cars, but yeah, you'll only see one, I think, with a fuel cap there. This one is guided at 75 to 85,000 pounds. One of the features of this car, this is the Austin Mini 1275 GT, and this version got this different front, this British Leyland front, and they did a redesign of the conventional looking Mini like that. And I can remember as a kid reading about these. They actually took more horsepower. They were less aerodynamic, and it took about 5-10 horsepower more to get that beyond 100 miles an hour than a normal Mini, which I really like. But today, I think that looks really smart. I sort of recognise the registration because CA was Birkenhead, which is where I was brought up. But they just look sharp to me in a different take on Mini. This one is absolutely spectacular condition. Huge amount of money spent on it on restoration, and guided at 22 to 26,000 pounds. I think a lot more of that than that has been spent on the restoration. Absolutely superb looking car, looks terrific in black, Cobra seats in it as well. Really quite tempted because I want a Mini one of these days. Mini Traveller, it's what my parents had. I grew up in one of those without the wood, but I want to show you this one. Now, BMW 3 litre CSL. This is a 1973 car, and I can't tell you how amazing this seemed in 1973. Straight six engine, lightweight, the CSL, without the Batmobile sort of big rear wing on it, but it had the bucket seats. And it was this strange mix of BMW quality wood interior I can see going across there. And this one has only done 65,000 miles from new, unrestored. And yes, they are collectible, and this one is guided at 130 to 160,000 pounds, but looks great in that colour to me, and a real period piece. Ah, the BMW M3, the E30 M3. Now, this is a 1988 example, early example, but when you look at it, you think, hang on a minute, they didn't have this extended front spoiler. That was on the Evo 2, and it's the same at the back. This one has been enhanced to look like the Evo 2, the 2.5. I can see it's got the seal down the bonnet here for that extra bit of aerodynamics. It's a North American M3, it says, first registered in this country in 1989. It's even got, I don't know if the door's open, but it's got the trick seats from the Evo 2 with the belt buckles in here. Unusual to see those, and an Evo 2 to get this look costs a lot of money today. It's over £100,000, but this one, because it's a 1988 E3, it's 40 to 50,000 pounds. You could weirdly get more money for it if it went back to standard 1988 look, but I think it looks terrific in that red and with those extra bits on it as well. Another car you probably never see again, a Zack Speed Capri Turbo, no less, RS 2.8T, 32,000 miles from new. Zack Speed, it's German tuner, because there was all the racing done in Germany with the Capri. Looking at it here, fat arches on it, trick rear spoiler. I have never seen a real one. I've only seen them in magazines, and it's got Ford RS seats in it as well. No idea anything about it, but such a rare car and really clever bodywork on it with this pumped out look, quattro almost look. Guided at 65 to 75,000 pounds. There are so many cars here that just spin around there, Tom. There's an unusual one. Look at that, VW Beetle. Hang on a minute, why is it on an 03 plate? Well, it's because it's one of the final production from Brazil, and this is 2003 this hit the road. Mileage 679 miles, so if you want a brand new Beetle, here you are. It's offered without reserve. If you want a really shiny, good condition XJ Coupe, but a 4.2, there's one. So don't buy mine, buy this one. 18,000 miles from new, estimate 45 to 50,000 pounds. I'm not going to feature DeLorean. They've never been my favourite thing. I think this is just me, I just think they look a bit awkward. Some people really love them. The stainless steel bodywork annoys me, but they have a huge following, and I'm just not one of them. And there's a really interesting one down there, which is a right-hand drive one of three AXI, I think they term it because of the number plate, that was made in period to experiment with right-hand drive, a bit more horsepower. But this one, 1981, manual, left-hand drive, and 20 to 25,000 pounds. An unusual Alfa Romeo 2600 Sprint. Alfa looked at going to a larger car than the sort of 105, the little, Alfaholics type Alphas we all know, with a 4-cylinder engine, and they did this 6-cylinder version. It came out with 4 cylinders to begin with and then went to 6 cylinders. Interesting, if you open the door, it's frameless, which is unusual on this sort of size car. So yeah, a bigger Alfa, and it has a straight 6 this one with triple Webers on it. It looks like a Jaguar XK sort of engine or an E-type engine in it. This is the first lot to go through 1963, the big forgotten Alpha, and offered without reserve. So who knows? That's the noisiest car I've ever heard, this Mustang. This came in when I came in yesterday, brought my car in. Huge amount of work, monster engine in it, Trans Am shaker next door to it. There is a number of American cars I wanted to feature here, but they're in the dark corner over there. There's a Challenger with a crazy engine, 8.3 litre engine in it, nearly 600 horsepower. But yeah, quite a number. A friend of mine is very keen on this. He has a lovely, he has a huge collection of Ferraris, and he's rocking around one of these. He just got it on a whim. But I don't know how much this is guided at, this Trans Am. Yeah, 30 to 35,000 pounds, and it's got the crazy roof in it as well. Yeah, see-through panels to come out there. And he's just loving it. There's such a contrast to all these Ferraris rocking around in a 6.6 Trans Am. If you want to do that, well, here you are, guided at 30 to 35,000 pounds. We've just popped down to the Silverstone auction bike sale because my 3 bikes are just coming in now. But I wanted to show you the sort of variety of bikes on sale here. MV Agusta, pure styling. Almost over function, but beautiful bike. I've always loved the exhaust on this one, open wheel. And then some very special Honda. These are by the HRC. So this is a 2-stroke. I want to say it's a 400. I'm not quite sure what size engine it is. But this V4, this is a 400R, very famous bike, very collectible. But there's everything here. Look at these sort of Villiers dot trial bike here from 70s, the Triumph Cub there if you're into that period. There's a Benelli 6, I think there's 2 Benelli 6s here. But there's also my Guzzi and a Cagiva Elephant, these 2 bikes I've brought in. I bought this one on a complete whim, this V65 Moto Guzzi. You will not find another one in the UK that looks like that. A proper Guzzi sound, not very good off-road. So it didn't really suit how I wanted to use it. I just wanted to experience the Moto Guzzi V Twin. And then I've got this Cagiva 750 Marathon UK bike, slightly scruffy, but absolutely on the button. Rides very well, and just with a Ducati engine in this off-road enduro type bike. And you've got to remember that Cagiva did win Paris-Dakar 2 years, 94 and 95 and 1990 on Cagiva Africa Twins of a 900. That's the 750. And there's one I did Sand Raiders on this year. I'm putting that in the sale as well because I'm having another special bike built for Sand Raiders 2023. But anyway, the bike auction is on Sunday. Cars are on the Saturday, but the bike auction all happens on Sunday. And I think there's about 151 lots here, all on the website. Anyway, let's go back to the cars. Just want to show you a couple of cars down here. I'm not going to stay on this one very long because I've never seen one before. Not sure if I actually want to see one again either. This is the Bricklin SV1, sort of built to, with these impact bumpers. I cannot understand what this car is all about. It's very rare, fortunately. I don't know how many there are. They're believed to be the only a couple of running Bricklin SV1s in the UK. Estimate 22 to 30,000 pounds. Moving quickly along. I like this one. I've always liked 240Zs, almost same era. That's 1975, that Bricklin. This is 1970. And this is when this is when Datsun came along with this straight 6 engine, this coupe, and sort of took on the Capri you see down this line in the UK. This one's fascinating. This is from the US, a very early car that's been brought over and completely restored. It's now turned as turnkey already, 37,000 miles and offered without reserve. Be very interesting to see what that makes. There is so many fast forwards at this sale. There's also a taxi which we can't understand. I do like this Escort twin cam though, the Mark 1 Escort in twin cam form. It's mad that they used to make this, because you know there's no luxury inside. Yeah, you've got the 4 extra gauges on the dash, so you've got the speedo and rev counter and then these 4 sides. It's almost the only way of spotting it. It's got the same wheel, bit more rake on it, and the wider steel rims on it. Expensive as ever. 40 to 50,000 pounds for 31,000 miles from new. 1969, yeah. Rover SD1 Vitesse, and this has got the twin plenum chambers, which is the hot one basically, in red. Just looks all original to me. 67,000 miles from new and offered without reserve. But look at the row of, this one. Yeah, HSS, Vauxhall Chevette HS. So this was taking on Ford. This is also this rally machine as well, and the slant 2.3 litre engine in this, so a bigger engine than the Escorts had. And I don't know, it always looked more modern styling with this front end and the splitter, etc. But this is the HSX, which I didn't realise even existed. 10 were built by this Vauxhall dealer in Greenford, and they reckon there's 3 left. And it's basically this black and these red stripes on it. It's not further enhanced really, but if you're into Vauxhall Chevette HSs, this is the one you want. And 86,000 miles, guided at 32 to 38,000. And all I can see ahead of me is a sea of Ford Escorts, Focus RSs and RS 500s. Look at them all. I love this Mark 1 Focus RS. I was there at the launch of this car. The Mark 1 Focus, when it came out, was such a clean design, and this just enhanced on it. They were really excited about doing this car. They hadn't done an RS model for a while, and unbelievable example. It's 20 years old now. How did that happen? And this car has done 21 miles from new. And because of that, it's guided at 85 to 95,000 pounds. Maybe we should have tucked a few of those away back in the day. But you think that's low mileage? Have a look at this one. Focus ST from 2007. And this one, well, this is the ST 500, quite possibly the lowest mileage Ford ever offered at auction. This car has done 0.3 of a mile since new, and that was 2007. Estimate is 40 to 50,000 miles. This is taking low mileage cars to another extreme. They're all down here. There's quite a number of low mileage cars. This Focus RS Mark III, 901 miles from new, 38 to 44,000. Slightly odd colour. I've never seen that blue before. Have seen the white here with this Ford Focus Mark II. 2010, the launch was out in south of France, and I went out there with Henry. I think I took an Enzo out, which is a bit of a mad thing. We were saying how hot is this Focus RS, and 958 miles from new. But if you wanted a Focus RS, but this 950 mile example is a bit leggy for you, don't worry, there's this one. There's another one, 2010 Ford Focus RS, mileage 54 miles from new, 55 to 65,000 pounds. I'm not going to cover any more, but there's black one, there's a green one, there's another matte black one over there as well. If you're after a Focus RS, this is a place to be here on Saturday. Tommy Mackinnon, Evo 6, this year 2000, this is really the one that started it all. We looked at those ones over there. This is the collectible one, it seems, in this world, and 70 to 80,000 pounds for this 30,000 mile example. There is a Dodge Charger hiding in the back there. I can't get anywhere near it, but I'm going to, Tom won't like me, I'm just going to go back here, the darkest corner in the sales room, because this one, 1968, 565 horsepower, modded 8.3 litre engine in it. All through this car has been sort of enhanced, shall we say. It is, I think it's the automatic gearbox in it. Mileage 22,000 miles, Dodge Charger RT, and valued at 60 to 70,000 pounds. One of these days I'm going to have a go in one of these because they look utterly nuts. Plymouth Barracuda. Oh, this one. This is a proper works Mini. And this one has pedigree. It's won quite a few rallies. If I go around here, yeah, 1964 RAC rally it did, a Scottish winning 1964 Mini. 7,000 miles from new. Trucker 1965 Works Mini, 110 to 150,000 pounds. Honestly, hard to know where to stop. I've just bypassed two Audi Quattros. There's a really nice 1983 10 valve one there, completely restored to turnkey condition, and then that one is the penultimate Audi that came into the UK. I think it's guided around the £70,000 mark. So we're nearly there. They're all just set up, as you can tell, this Thursday, but I thought I might, well, there's a lovely speedster there, but this Porsche just caught my eye because this has got the X50 pack in it and it's manual. 996 Porsche Turbo, Metzeler engine, this one, steel brakes on here, 72,000 miles. I can remember driving, they were quick cars, really together, and I just think they're well worth a look. If you want a Porsche to enjoy and do long distance and just use daily and just be mind blown by the performance, well, this one's pretty good and very good value at 45 to 50,000 pounds. And finally, this XJS convertible. This one I can't quite get my head around. This is a 1989 Jaguar XJS 5.3 V12 convertible in black, quite rare, lovely interior, and it's never been registered. Apparently the guy bought it in 1989 and wanted to wait to 1990 to register it, and then the dealer got all grumpy about that idea, and then they sort of fell out, and as time went on, it never got registered. It's now done 100 miles basically up and down the Gents Drive, and here it is, unregistered, available at 50 to 60,000 pounds. Just one more car. Look at this. This is the McLaren M23 replica that was used in the James Hunt film Rush with Niki Lauda when he took on. I love that film, and here's the car that they use. It hasn't run for a while. You could make it run if you wanted, but it just looks fantastic, I think, the design of that, and it's guided relatively sensibly at 50 to 80,000 pounds. It's hard to know what the value of such a thing is. There you go, a whistle-top tour around 171 cars coming up for auction on Saturday, and you can bid online, you can watch online. There's a YouTube channel Silverstone Auctions have, you click on there, but if you want to bid on the cars you have to register in advance, and it's dead easy to do. If you want to buy my Jaguar Coupe, that would be very nice, but there's lots of other cars, every flavour of car here. Check out the Silverstone website for more details, but I hope you enjoyed this Harry's Garage video. Look around, the cars coming up for sale. If you have, keep watching, keep subscribing, more videos coming on very soon.